Good afternoon and evening, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. I wanted to kind of do another video to kind of talk about another topic that we have today. And I first want to go ahead and shout out to a few people. Thank you for continuing comments. I was able to look a few of those, and we have some good topics to kind of focus on as we go through. Actually, I'm going to actually do one today from a comment that Eduardo just posted about Poland and his visit to Poland. So I'm gonna do that on this one because I want to kind of do a second one here. Tomorrow we're going to do nocturnal emissions, and we'll do celibacy, and then God identifies with lions. We have a number of them coming up. I think that why should I like women under SR? I like that too. Eye contact, a bunch of great ones you guys have suggested. So we're going to do a bunch of those as we go along. Let me go. Emerald Islam, thank you for your comment. Razzle Dazzler, thank you for your comment. The Odd Father. The book is named Kelder, Kelder, The Fountain of Youth, and we'll kind of show it. I think I'll try to show it tomorrow. I have a copy with me down here, but I'll show it when I get a chance. Fresh 235 is 61. Congratulations, my friend. Keep doing it. I understand where you're at. Double SC. Thank you for your comment. Carrick Burleson, thank you. Mario Rodriguez, Varg Al Lucy, thank you. Camille, Optimal Man, Smart Black Guy, and Money Masuro 7. So thank you guys for all your comments. I appreciate those a great deal, and it's great to kind of get you guys feedback and kind of get all kinds of feedback. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of different ones coming up. One at Francopia was asking about how do you gain higher intuition. I want to do that one. Female urges, good that. Breaking norms with semen retention. A lot of good ones coming up. A monk mode, and we'll start doing that too. So, and how to start again. We had a bunch of people who were relapsing and trying to get back to this as well. But the topic today is we're going to talk about how do you figure out the illusion. And the last one we just did kind of focused on the idea of looking at how can you tell women are attracted to you? That's the first thing. And the reason we say in that is because we want to go ahead and kind of give you guys the idea of how to go ahead and notice those things. So in case you're in a situation, you have to make a decision, you kind of know what's happening. Here's another one of those type of videos we're going to talk about here is the whole idea of knowing the illusion and what's happening here. So let's go ahead and kind of look at this a little bit. So Eduardo had a nice discussion here on one of his threads talking about example. He went to some of the bars in Poland. And this is one of the things you have to kind of watch out for. The illusion sitting there is the idea is that they want you to drain yourself because they're going to make money. And I'm talking about restaurants, bars, clubs, whatever it might be. They're going to make money with you spending money and losing your energy in many different ways. And so when you look at this type of situation, and I think strip clubs, all those type of things, those are things to avoid. So the toxic people and the toxic environments you have to weigh. So let's kind of look at this for a second. So this is one of these knowledgeable things that you don't get in education. We don't give education to men or young boys like this. This is stuff you learn on your own. So here's the illusion, and this is just typical, whether it's Vegas, whether it's anywhere. You go into a situation where you bring a lot of money, okay? You have these, first of all, the women, and he was talking about the women in Poland, are sitting there with almost no clothes on, and they're trying to entice you. And so what they're doing then is if you're gambling or you're bringing money, all of a sudden now you're spending that money. You may end up having some intercourse, you may not, but again, you're losing that energy. And now you become addicted to that energy. See, when you lose energy, and I know a lot of people talked about this, when you lose energy, there's a gap that happens. You're missing some of that. And it's almost like when you're drinking diet pop. Yes, it can help you because it's got no calories, but then you want to eat more. You're more thirsty. And the same thing happens with releasing. Now all of a sudden, you got that small window of pleasure, and now you want that again. And it becomes addictive. And so what you're really doing is trying to go back again and again to recapture that energy and you're losing more and more energy. And so this is why when you're sitting there watching these women out there, all of a sudden, you're losing energy. Now, once again, monk mode is probably the way to go. Obviously, I'm not saying this because I want you to go to the bars or to the clubs and things like that. I would avoid all those, but I had my share of all those years ago. And the thing is, if you're caught in those situations, you have to watch out for the illusion that's playing in front of you. It's all an illusion. It's all fantasy. This is how you're getting their money. So a number of people have kind of talked about this in many ways. Leo, for instance, Frenchy the third Frenchy III, I think it's called. And, a number of people have talked about this, Eduardo as well. You want to cut out the toxic people in your life and cut out the toxic places you go. So those are two keys that you guys want to continue with your self-control. You have to go ahead and think to yourself, okay, I don't need to be in this situation. I can avoid it. Now, if you're stuck with yourself going to a bar or club with friends or people at workplace, you have to go ahead and think to yourself, how am I going to control this? And the main thing I would do is not spend any money, as least as possible. Having dinner, that's different. But the idea you want to try to avoid is you want to try to avoid getting caught in all that temptation. The girls may be dancing, in the front on the stage, or they may be walking around dancing for you, things like that, or trying to entice you. I think in Eduardo's comments, he was talking about how accurately that these women all come around asking for favors. They'll be doing things for you to get money. And those type of things, that's very prevalent in these places. But the thing is, it's very difficult when you go to these places not to expect something like that to happen. So the best rule of thumb is not to actually go to those places. Avoid these things like the plague. Stay away from that temptation to begin with. However, if you're caught in a situation where you have to go, maybe it's a workplace type of thing, maybe your friends are going and you really don't want to offend them, or family members, and all of a sudden they decide to go, now you're stuck in a situation. This is when the utmost self-control is necessary. You have to say to yourself, okay, I know I'm in a situation here, but I have to try to block this out as much as possible. Now, it's not going to be easy, of course, because you're sitting right into the devil's area right now. The evil one has you in the place. You have to control yourself to the point of saying, okay, I'm going to try to use my methods, the breathing methods, things like that, to control any sort of sensation I get that could be a sexual type of thing that's going to lead to more releasing or leading to those type of things. And when you're at the younger part of your journey, it's easy to fall back. It's easy to fall back on this stuff. That's why it's important to stay away from these areas for a while until you build up enough strength and habit that you can say, okay, I can still go there. It's not going to hurt me as much, but I can know that I can't avoid it. It's the same thing, but it's different than allowing this into your life. Like saying, okay, well, I'm going to go watch some pictures and it's not going to bother me. Well, then all of a sudden you're leading to something else and now you're back down the hole again. You have to avoid this. This might be a different situation, and I'm only kind of saying this because a few people have kind of brought this example out. The whole idea is that you really want to kind of make sure that you're trying to avoid these tough type of situations. Avoid these situations where now you're looking at temptation and you're encouraging temptation in your life. And these are the kind of things you have to kind of avoid. So as we look at this, I think that it's important to recognize that, as Eduardo makes some good points, this is an illusion. The women, the men, all these people are an illusion. They look good, they look tempting, they're going to your imagination. Actually, it was great that, who said something? Now, by the way, thank you, PK Wealth, for liking the cats. I got cats running around here, so I sometimes kind of reach down and push them away for a time being. Who was I going to say this? Someone mentioned to it. It was Hugh Hefner that I actually was referring to, and I want to kind of shout out to a person who said that to me, and I can't really find it, I guess, but maybe I'll look it for it here. So, who had said this to me? Oh man, I'm missing it here. But someone had mentioned. Oh yeah, BT. Thank you, BT. So BT mentioned that it was Hugh Hefner who actually was talking to him, and Hugh Hefner and was talking about this, and he was talking about the fact that when you develop Playboy, the reason why it became popular was because he did not show everything with the woman in the pictures. He left something for the imagination. And his quote, I think it was on an interview of some sort, he says, women are naturally voyeurs and women are exhibitionists and men are voyeurs. And this is where men can get themselves into trouble. You have to control that voyeur mentality. And if you're a beast-like mentality, you're not going to be that easily swayed by what you're seeing. You have to focus your mind differently when you see that. So sitting in one of these situations and having girls be the exhibitionists, which they love the attention, of course, you're going to go ahead and be that person looking at this. And this is how all these magazines made all kinds of money back in those days and still make money to some extent now. And all this kind of, the whole industry is built on this whole idea that women are exhibitionists and men are voyeurs. And that's why Hugh Hefner made tons of money with his magazines over the years. But the thing is, learning from this is where the key is. If you can learn all these things and understand this, like I said, no one teaches this kind of stuff. This is stuff that you learn by just experience. And 61 years of experience, I can tell you that I've seen a lot of these type of things over the years. And this is all an illusion. I think Optical Man said that, DSM Tech said this, Eduardo, a bunch of you guys have said this. But trying not to get into the illusion is tough because you're using your own imagination with the illusion. See, they're not showing everything. The makeup is not showing the true person, or else you might not like that person when the makeup's off, right? They're not showing you all the sexy behaviors and all the way they're taught to stand and look so they attract you. Those things are not really something that you're prepared for. And like I said, men and boys are very ill prepared for any of this kind of stuff because you're not taught these type of things in school. There is no school to talk about how to handle women's attractiveness and dealing with this. And hopefully we can share more information on this kind of channel. But here's another one of these topics that if you're in a club or a bar and you have to go there, you have to exert some high level of control. And a lot of that is being aware of the situation. You know there's going to be people half naked running around. You know there's beer. You know there's alcohol, drugs. The less you do a lot of that stuff, the better off you're going to be. Now, when I'm stuck in those situations, I'm basically I have pop, water, tea. I'm the designated driver. So that's the excuse I get to go out of that thing. Because I know from bad experiences in the past, once you start doing that stuff, all of a sudden, now you're in a tempting situation. And it's easier when you're, intoxicated, those type of things, to be able to fall into that type of trap. So avoid that type of thing. Because then your basic nature is going to come out and you're going to fall into those things and you're going to release energy. So the bottom line is, my friends, you do not want to release energy. And this is where you have to avoid those toxic people. And let's talk about toxic people for a second. We know we talk about avoiding those kind of environments you want to be in, but how about the toxic people? Again, this is an illusion. They're drawing you in, whether they're playing emotional games with you, mental games with you. And I'm going to do one soon about liking women and semen retention. So don't get the wrong impression when I talk about this. I love women. I love my wife. I love women are wonderful. They have their place. And I think someone mentioned this too. And I maybe it was Mr. Sandman or someone. Women are wonderful. Women are wonderful. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how men and women communicate. And one of the things you have to understand is that women want to have children, they want to have families, and they're nurturers. And they're going to approach differently than men do. So you don't want to have anger towards women either. You don't want to have anger towards that. You want to basically just understand how they communicate and understand what they're looking for and just understand that it's your choice to give that or not. So knowing that, then you can make choices on the type of people you want to be around. Does this person bring you up or down? Does this person create a lot more positivity in you or create a lot of negativity in you? That's one of the keys. And I think as you look at this, the key is going to be bringing people in your life that's going to make your life better. That's the whole key. So this is nothing to say that anything against women, because I love women. I mean, I think women are wonderful. I think just as men, there's a purpose for feminine energy along with masculine energy. But I also think that males need to understand this. And I think one of the reasons we talk a lot about this stuff and talk about retention is that you can make a better choice on whether or not you want a woman in your life or not. And that's why one of the old videos I said that you are the table. And the reason I say that is because a lot of men give up the table for the other person. And there's nothing wrong with giving and sacrificing. I do that a lot myself in a marriage. But the thing is, you want to keep that warrior mentality, and you don't want to lose energy. And I think that's an important type of thing. You cannot lose yourself. You cannot be looking at this person, putting him on a pedestal. You should put no person on a pedestal except the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the person you should be putting on a pedestal. That's the person who is your God and your Savior. Right? Other people are just people. They're just like you are. They have their wants, their needs, their faults, their desires. All these things are the same with everybody. So as you look at this, the key is going to be, how can I focus on looking at keeping my self-control, keeping the people around me positive. The more you have negative people around you, the more draining it's going to be, emotionally and could be physically as well. And you don't want to do that. This is why it's very important to make sure you understand the influence people have around you. Those people can influence you a great deal, especially if you put them in a higher status than you do. If you have low self-confidence and you're putting them in higher than you are, all of a sudden, now you can't break away from them. And of course, if they're family members, it's even harder. This is why semen retention becomes important, because under semen retention, you're going to be a lot stronger. You're going to be a lot more stronger, more able to tell people how you actually feel and not put up with a lot of the BS that people give you and trying to get you to do things, get you to give money, things like that. So this is why it's important not only to control the environments you're in, but control the people who are in those environments around you. So great topics. Once again, I want to shout out to Eduardo, who gave a great example in Poland, the bars and how they get you to spend money and get involved in drugs and all kinds of stuff. And as an addictive type of thing, sex, drugs, all these things kind of come together. And you have to be a strong person. But first of all, don't go in those places. Second, if you have to, develop some strategies. And what kind of strategies we're talking about? Well, taking some deep breathing types of things, going in as a designated driver, kind of saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to observe and watch. And it's a great place to watch, by the way. I mean, I did that for years. I didn't drink a lot. I would try to water down my dry martinis and things like that, because you want to observe people. You see how they behave. A lot of animalistic behaviors when people get drunk. It's kind of funny in some ways. Very animalistic. People kind of resort back to those levels, especially in a bar or club, thing like that. But you be just aware of this. Not that it's something that's good or bad. I never say anything really is good or bad, except for coming from the evil one. But the thing is, you have to look and see, is this what I want? Is this I'm getting most out of my life that's doing this way? Chances are you're not, and that's going to hurt you in the long run, especially losing energy. So again, shout outs to Eduardo, IIIFrencyIII, Leo. Thank you guys for the great questions and comments. I want to kind of make sure that, once again, just like we did with the morning one talking about all the signs of attraction, I sometimes like to put these up here to give you information and understand that if you see things out there, these are things that could be happening. Certainly knowing how women, if they like you, what's going to be their next behavior. Now, once again, it's not good or bad, depending on your situation. If you're looking for a girlfriend, well, that's great. There you go. But if you're not looking for one and you're trying to avoid negative situations, this could tell you some more information that can make your choice better. The same thing with places you go to and people you're associating with. Whether it's the workplace, whether it's other types of things, make sure you understand who you're associating with. Make sure those people are helping you with your goals and not hurting yourself with goals, and try to keep out of, as much as possible, those situations that kind of hurt you and drive you to temptation. You should never be in a situation you're voluntarily going to the bar or a strip club or something like that, because you know that you're asking for trouble in those situations. I don't care if you've been on it for 4 or 5 years or not, you're asking for trouble. All right, my friends, just another one we wanted to do, and caught up with another one today. We'll do another one tomorrow. We'll kind of try to do nocturnal admissions in the morning, and then we'll try to do another one at night. All right, guys, have a good night. God bless you guys. And again, every day is a new day to a great warrior. God bless you guys. Battle on!